Oh, I liked it all right, but I had to get out and earn a little bread. I had to get out and earn a living. Oh, what do I remember most about my childhood?
Steve McQueen was notorious for throwing tantrums over movie posters. He meticulously counted every line of dialogue and even had his lawyers measure his screen time. Why? Because there was one Hollywood legend he absolutely couldn't stand sharing the spotlight with. Their feud grew so intense that the crew had to keep them separated between takes. Fans believed they were friends, but the truth? It was far darker than anyone imagined. For 40 years, the identity of McQueen's most hated co-star remained a mystery. But now, after all this time, we finally know who it was. And the person McQueen despised is the last one you'd ever expect. Born on March 24, 1930, in Beech Grove, Indiana, Steve McQueen's life started in turmoil. From the moment he came into the world, pain followed him. His father, a stunt pilot, abandoned his mother just months after they met. And his mother, she was young, troubled, and battled alcoholism. By the time he was 3, Steve was already abandoned. He was sent to live with his grandparents in Missouri, far away from the unstable life his parents had offered. The country was deep in the Great Depression, and money was scarce. They soon moved again, this time to a farm owned by his great-uncle, Claude. It was at this farm, during one of the most challenging times in American history, that Steve McQueen found the closest thing to safety. On his 4th birthday, his great-uncle gave him a red tricycle. A simple gift, but it ignited something inside Steve, a lifelong passion for speed and racing. Claude wasn't just a kind man, he became the father figure Steve had desperately needed. Before Steve left the farm at 8 years old, Claude handed him a gold pocket watch with an inscription, "To Steve, who has been a son to me." That watch stayed with McQueen for the rest of his life, a symbol of the love he once had, even in the face of overwhelming hardship. But when Steve returned to live with his mother in Indianapolis, everything changed. At 8 years old, struggling with hearing loss from an ear infection and grappling with dyslexia, his new environment was anything but kind. His stepfather was violent, and home became a place of fear. Steve ran away multiple times, finding himself in trouble. By the time he was 9, he was living on the streets, part of a gang, stealing just to survive. His mother sent him away time and again, only to bring him back, until finally, she moved him to Los Angeles to live with another stepfather, one even more abusive than the last. The breaking point came when Steve got caught stealing hubcaps. His stepfather beat him mercilessly, throwing him down a flight of stairs. But Steve didn't cry. Instead, he looked up, his gaze cold, and said, "You lay your stinking hands on me again, and I swear, I'll kill you." That was the moment Steve McQueen stopped being afraid. At 14, his stepfather convinced his mother to declare him incorrigible. A court sent him to the Boys' Republic in California, a reform school for troubled boys. It was a harsh environment. Steve was thrown into solitary confinement 5 times. He didn't fit in, he didn't follow the rules. But something about that place stuck with him. He was beaten up by other boys when he messed with their privileges. But slowly, the experience taught him discipline. The school's motto, "Nothing without labor," began to make sense. For the first time, Steve began to understand structure, something he had never known before. Years later, after rising to stardom, Steve never forgot what Boys' Republic had given him. He donated money, set up scholarships, and returned to talk to the kids there, just as he had once been. At 16, Steve left Boys' Republic and moved to New York to live with his mother. But instead of settling down, he got restless. He met 2 merchant marines and joined a ship heading to the Dominican Republic. Once there, he jumped ship and took odd jobs, including working at a brothel. But it didn't last long. He kept drifting across the United States, working whatever jobs he could find and sleeping wherever he could. Steve McQueen's early life was a relentless series of tough jobs. He sold pens at carnivals, worked on oil rigs, cut lumber in Canada, and even landed in jail for vagrancy. He spent 30 days on a chain gang, and though it hardened him, it also shaped the quiet toughness that would later define his on-screen persona. In 1947, Steve made a life-changing decision. At just 17, he convinced his mother to sign the papers so he could join the Marines. It was a brutal shock to his system. Boot camp at Paris Island was grueling, but Steve made it through. Assigned to an armored unit, he learned to operate tanks, a skill that would later come in handy when performing his own stunts in Hollywood. Despite his natural mechanical talent, his bad attitude often got him into trouble. He was demoted 7 times, went AWOL to be with his girlfriend, and ended up in military jail. But something clicked while behind bars. Sitting in that cell, Steve realized he was throwing his future away. When he got out, he started turning his life around. His defining moment came in 1950 during a military training drill near the Arctic Circle. When ice cracked under his tank, Steve didn't hesitate. He saved 5 Marines from drowning, risking his own life over and over. For that, he earned a commendation and was selected to join the elite honor guard that protected the president's yacht. By the time he left the Marines in 1950, Steve McQueen was no longer just the troubled street kid. He had faced death, earned respect, and proven his worth. 2 years later, using his GI Bill money, just $800, he enrolled in acting school in New York. There, alongside future stars like James Caan and Suzanne Pleshette, Steve began a new chapter of his life. But little did he know, one decision in 1958 would haunt him for the rest of his life. McQueen starred in The Blob, a small-budget horror film, taking a flat $3,000 fee and turning down a 10% share of the profits. The film cost just $110,000 to make but earned a whopping $4 million at the box office. Had he taken the profit deal, he could have walked away with nearly $400,000. Instead, he got a flat check and missed out on a small fortune. Despite this setback, McQueen's star was rising. That same year, he landed a role in Wanted, Dead or Alive, a show that wasn't intended to make a hero out of a bounty hunter. But McQueen's portrayal of Josh Randall changed that. The show ran for 3 gritty years, nearly 100 episodes, and taught McQueen valuable lessons in discipline. As he later said, 3 hard, mother-grabbing years. And yet, despite the tough grind, Wanted, Dead or Alive made him a star. While riding the wave of early fame, McQueen took a chance on a small but powerful role in Alfred Hitchcock Presents. In Human Interest Story, he played a reporter who crosses paths with a man claiming to be a Martian. That episode featured one of the show's famous twist endings. What most viewers didn't notice, however, was Clint Eastwood appearing in the background, uncredited. It was the only time the two legends would ever share the screen. A few months later, McQueen returned for another episode, Man from the South. This time, the stakes were real. If his character couldn't light a cigarette lighter 10 times in a row, he'd lose a finger. The episode's villain was played by the iconic Peter Lorre, and McQueen's real-life wife, Neela Adams, played the woman caught in the middle. At the climax, McQueen casually flicked the lighter, and it failed. He narrowly avoided mutilation, leaving viewers chilled to the bone. Before this, McQueen had been grinding away in small TV roles. He appeared in everything from Goodyear Television Playhouse to United States Steel Hour. He even acted alongside William Shatner in The Defender, a legal drama that aired right after 12 Angry Men had become a hit. Even in these small gigs, you could see the fire in him, calm on the surface, but intense beneath. These roles laid the foundation for what was to come. The breakthrough arrived in 1960 when he joined the Magnificent Seven. While Yul Brynner took the lead, McQueen made sure he didn't go unnoticed. Every time Brynner spoke, McQueen would subtly adjust his hat, play with his gun belt, or move just enough to steal the scene. Brynner reportedly warned him, saying, "All I have to do is take off my hat and you disappear." But it didn't matter. McQueen had already made his mark. The chemistry on The Magnificent Seven was undeniable. The film became a box office smash, earning nearly $10 million on a $2 million budget, cementing McQueen's place as a bona fide movie star. No longer just a TV actor, Steve McQueen was officially on the big screen for good. But it was The Great Escape in 1963 that truly made him a legend. As Captain Hiltz, the rebellious American pal, McQueen delivered the performance of a lifetime, and then there was that iconic motorcycle jump. That jump over the barbed wire fence. It wasn't actually McQueen, it was his friend and stunt double, Bud Eakins. However, McQueen did most of the riding, including the intense scenes where he doubled for both himself and the German soldiers chasing him. When Johnny Carson complimented him on the daring stunt on The Tonight Show, McQueen's response was classic: "It wasn't me." His brutal honesty only made the public love him even more. His honesty wasn't the only thing that earned him recognition. He went on to win Best Actor at the Moscow International Film Festival, and suddenly, McQueen wasn't just an American star. He was an international icon. Later that same year, McQueen took a risk with Love with the Proper Stranger, starring alongside Natalie Wood in a romantic drama that tackled heavy themes like unplanned pregnancy and abortion, a bold choice for 1963. McQueen played a jazz musician who finds out Wood's character is pregnant after a one-night stand. Critics praised his performance, and he earned his first Golden Globe nomination. Wood, too, was recognized with her third Oscar nod. Off-camera, the chemistry between McQueen and Wood was electric, and it showed in their performances. The film grossed nearly $6 million at the box office, But more importantly, it helped McQueen prove he could do more than just stunts and shootouts. By 1965, McQueen was at the peak of his career. In The Cincinnati Kid, he portrayed a young poker hustler trying to outwit an experienced pro. His stone-cold poker face became one of his trademarks, and the movie was a hit, grossing over $7 million. Then came Nevada Smith, a gritty revenge story where McQueen played a half-white, half-Native American man on a mission to track down the men who killed his parents. McQueen's commitment to his craft was unmatched. He even allowed himself to get arrested on purpose just to get closer to one of the killers. Steve McQueen's rise to Hollywood superstardom wasn't just about charm or cool. It was about taking risks, showing incredible range, and a relentless drive that kept him pushing forward. In 1966, he took yet another gamble with the Sand Pebbles, playing a weary sailor stationed on a gunboat in 1920s China. It wasn't a typical McQueen role, but his fearless approach to roles that challenged him only proved his staying power in Hollywood. The Sand Pebbles was long, emotionally heavy, and politically charged, drawing stark parallels to the Vietnam War, capturing audiences' attention in a way few films could. The shoot nearly broke McQueen, leaving him drained to the point that he didn't work for an entire year after its completion. But the sacrifice paid off. The film earned 8 Oscar nominations, and McQueen received his only nomination for Best Actor. That moment marked a major transformation for him, shifting from an action star to a respected serious actor. Then came Bullitt in 1968. If the Sand Pebbles proved he could act, Bullitt reminded everyone that McQueen was still the undisputed king of cool. The car chase, 10 minutes of roaring engines tearing through the steep streets of San Francisco, was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. McQueen, behind the wheel of a dark green Mustang, chased down a black Dodge Charger. He did about 10% of the driving himself, but it didn't matter. The scene would go on to redefine action sequences, with real cars, real speed, and real danger. At one point, McQueen nearly hit a cameraman and had to be pulled back. But the result was legendary. No CGI, just raw power and guts. That same year, McQueen showed he was more than just a rebel. In the Thomas Crown Affair, he swapped his iconic dusty jeans for designer suits and a $2,250 Patek Philippe watch. He played a rich man who robbed banks just for the thrill. The film was stylish and seductive, revealing a different side of McQueen, one not defined by punching people or crashing cars. He was playing chess with Faye Dunaway, pulling off heists as though it were an art form. Behind the scenes, McQueen exerted more control, acting as an uncredited producer and pushing for the film's unique visual style. He had wanted a role that defied typecasting, and in this, he absolutely nailed it. In 1969, McQueen continued to evolve. In The Reavers, he portrayed a scrappy southern character, Boone Hagenbeck, who steals a car for a joyride. The film, based on a Faulkner novel, was light-hearted with deeper themes. It earned McQueen a Golden Globe nomination and introduced audiences to Rupert Cross, the first black actor nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. It wasn't a flashy movie, but it reinforced once again that McQueen had range. Then came Le Mans. This was supposed to be the ultimate racing movie, McQueen's dream project, but it quickly turned into a nightmare. Filming began in 1970 without a finished script, and the budget exploded. Writers clashed. The director quit. 2 drivers were seriously injured during filming, and the IRS came knocking for $2 million in back taxes. McQueen had to give up his salary and profits just to keep the film afloat. When it was finally released, critics panned it. It nearly destroyed him, but McQueen didn't stay down for long. He made a triumphant return in 1972 with The Getaway, a gritty action film directed by Sam Peckinpah. McQueen took a massive risk, waiving his salary in exchange for 10% of the film's gross. The gamble paid off. The Getaway became a smash hit, grossing over $36 million. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a reminder that McQueen still knew how to deliver exactly what audiences craved. By 1974, McQueen had become the most bankable star in the world. For The Towering Inferno, he negotiated an unprecedented deal, $1 million upfront and a percentage of the profits, bringing his total payday to around $12 million, equivalent to $76 million today. He didn't just take the bigger paycheck. He demanded equal screen time with co-star Paul Newman and even rewrote parts of the script to balance their roles. The film was a massive box office success, and McQueen, ever the perfectionist, insisted on doing many of his own stunts. But after The Towering Inferno became a colossal hit, McQueen did something no one saw coming. He vanished. At the height of his fame, with every door in Hollywood wide open, he disappeared. For nearly 4 years, McQueen walked away from acting. He didn't do interviews. He didn't take any roles. He didn't care about scripts or studios. Instead, McQueen pursued something entirely different: motorcycles. While most stars chased more fame, McQueen hit the road, packed his motorhome with his old Indian bikes, and traveled across America. Under the fake name Harvey Mushman, he kept a low profile, entering brutal off-road races like the Baja 1000, the Mint 400, and the Elsinore Grand Prix. But racing wasn't new for him. Back in 1961, McQueen had already made a name for himself in the British Touring Car Championship. And in 1970, even with a broken foot, he nearly won the 12 Hours of Sebring. That's how much he loved racing. His obsession earned him a spot in the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame in 1978, the same year he finally returned to movies with An Enemy of the People. Away from the track and the cameras, McQueen had another side few knew about: his deep connection to Boys Republic. This reform school, where McQueen had been sent as a troubled teen, helped him when he had nothing. But something about Boys Republic stuck with McQueen. Even after his rise to fame, he never forgot where he came from. Hollywood didn't know the full story behind his contracts, where he asked for free things like razors and jeans. What they didn't realize was that he wasn't just hoarding those items for himself. He was sending them to Boys Republic. He didn't just donate goods, he showed up. McQueen visited the school, hung out with the students, played pool, and told stories. The school even named a game room after him. His impact lived on. Each year, the Friends of Steve McQueen Car and Motorcycle Show honors his legacy, showcasing some of the actual vehicles he owned. The event has become a tradition, and the 2025 edition is set for the end of May. Decades after his passing, McQueen's legacy endures, a reminder of his roots and the place that shaped him. But as McQueen raced across tracks and gave back to his community, his personal life was falling apart. His marriage to Ali Mcgro, one of the 70s biggest stars, was as intense as it was brief. They met during the Getaway in 1971, and Mcgro was immediately drawn to McQueen. After divorcing producer Robert Evans, she married McQueen in 1973. But McQueen's emotional baggage from a turbulent upbringing soon took its toll. He demanded Mcgro quit acting just as her career took off, grew jealous, controlling, and unfaithful, all while struggling with drugs and paranoia. The final blow came when Mcgro miscarried. McQueen's coldness shattered her. They separated in 1977 and divorced a year later. Despite it all, Mcgro called McQueen the love of her life but never remarried. After a 4-year break, McQueen returned in 1976 with An Enemy of the People, a serious role that challenged his King of Cool image. He dived into intense dialogue and studied works by Chekhov and Strindberg, but the film flopped. McQueen didn't regret it. It proved he could be more than just a Hollywood icon. By 1979, McQueen's health was deteriorating. He pushed through 2 final films, Tom Horn and The Hunter, but his worsening condition forced him to rely on stuntmen for the first time. Yet, he never quit. McQueen's rebellious nature first made its mark in The Magnificent Seven. Though Yul Brynner was the lead, McQueen's presence stole every scene, subtly shifting his weight or playing with his gun belt during Brynner's speeches, ensuring all eyes were on him. Brynner, reportedly annoyed by McQueen's growing attention, warned him, "All I have to do is take off my hat, and you disappear." But McQueen didn't back down. His quiet defiance made it clear, he wasn't just an actor, he was a force. By the time The Hunter was released, McQueen was already in the fight of his life. After battling mesothelioma for nearly a year, the cancer spread relentlessly, and his body began to deteriorate. Yet, in true McQueen fashion, he kept fighting. His determination to finish his career, even as his health failed, mirrored his stubborn drive for greatness. In his final months, McQueen found peace, thanks to his conversion to Christianity, influenced by his wife Barbara and evangelist Billy Graham. This personal journey marked a stark contrast to his rebellious persona. When Graham prayed for him, McQueen quietly accepted his fate, saying, "I am ready," finding solace in faith. On November 7, 1980, McQueen passed away at 50 in Juarez, Mexico. His death ended an era in Hollywood, defined by speed, stunts, and an unrelenting drive for perfection. Behind the tough exterior, McQueen struggled with rivalries, power struggles, and emotional isolation. In his final moments, however, he found love, peace, and redemption. McQueen's legacy lives on not just through his iconic roles but in the man he became before his death. His drive for dominance extended beyond his career, particularly in his relationships with co-stars. On The Magnificent Seven, McQueen stole scenes from Yul Brynner, despite having fewer lines, creating tension on set. McQueen's defiance continued in The Towering Inferno, where he clashed with Paul Newman over billing and screen time. This rivalry, along with tensions with James Garner on The Great Escape, reflected McQueen's insecurities and fear of being overshadowed. Despite the conflicts, McQueen's career soared. He remained a complex figure, impossible to ignore, whether loved or hated, embodying both talent and internal struggle.